Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. This is Jenna from McGuire. So I recently needed a few fun birthday cards for some fun friends, and I thought I'd go ahead and film the creation of these cards to share with you. Now, all of these are interactive in some way. Two of them have a pull-out feature with a gift card hidden inside, and then one is a really fun and pretty easy to make shaker card. I have lots of tips that I can share with you along the way, and I'm really hoping this inspires you to make an extra special card the next time you need one for a birthday. We'll start with this card first. It's a 5x7 card, and the top of the cake pulls out to reveal a gift card inside. Now, you could skip the gift card and just have a mini card there where you write a little message, or you could even put cash in it. And keep in mind, you can change this design up a bit and even use it as a wedding card. Now for this card and my next one, I'll be using the new Pretty Pink Posh interactive cake dies. There are lots of elements in here that can be used in different ways, and you can use it to create a traditional card instead of an interactive card if you prefer. I will be showing you two ways again to create a card using this die set, but you could really figure out how to make today's cards without the specialty die set. I just found the dies were really helpful and well designed. I also like that the die set includes the die that you see here that cuts 3 semicircles with faux stitching. Those are so you can slide a gift card in and it'll hold it in place. There are many ways you could use this with the birthday cake design or on other cards. You could even use it inside of your card. I will show you how I used it today, but keep in mind it can be used separate from the birthday cake. I really appreciate when companies include dies in a set that can be used in a variety of ways. This die set comes with little candles you can put on top. I'll use that on my second card, but my first card I wanted bigger candles since I'm making a bigger card, so I'm using the Pretty Pink Posh birthday candle die set. I really like this die set because you can layer little pieces together to make multicolored candles. I'm going to keep my candles pretty simple, but you could use it in so many ways. I'm also using the new Pretty Pink Posh Pierced Stars plate die. Really like the style of this. I'll be using the stars as background elements on the first card, but I will use this die to create a shaker card at the end of this video. I'll first create the 2 tiers for our cake by cutting these 2 shapes from white cardstock. I thought it'd be fun to add some detail to them, so I'm using the Pretty Pink Posh Star Cover Plate die. I really like dies like this because it creates a pierced pattern that just adds fun detail. It's great for backgrounds or changing up die cuts as I've done here. Next, I wanted to change the top tier of the cake so that it's a little card that holds a gift card. Now, my second cake card that I'll show you in a few minutes is easier to make, but I really like changing up the design in this way, so I thought I'd start with it. I created another top tier cake die cut from white cardstock, so it's the smaller of the tiers, and I'm scoring about 1/4 of an inch from the top edge, 1/4 of an inch from that scallop edge. Then I will fold along that score line, and I like to fold back and forth a few times. This score line is actually a hinge, so I want it to be able to open and close easily. Then I have that silly looking die that I showed you earlier that creates those 3 semicircles to hold a gift card. I'm going to place that underneath that hinge line so that this will be a good place for my gift card to slide in and hold in place. You could in fact have this die cut be what pulls out of the cake. Just skip that score line and have the top tier of the cake come out with the gift card. But I wanted to make mine a little mini card. So I'm putting strong adhesive above the score line on the flap of that die cut. Then I'll take our decorative die cut that we made earlier with the star pattern and press it on top, making sure to put something heavy on that while that adhesive dries. You could also use a strong double-sided tape here if you wanted. So basically we created a little mini note card with the gift card sticking out. I wanted to be sure that that gift card was visible and that they saw it as soon as they took that top tier out of the cake. Now for the fun part, we can decorate both the top and the bottom tier of the cake. Now you can see that die set over on the left comes with lots of things you can decorate with. There are flowers, hearts, the word yay, and much more. Also these little icing die cuts. Now I did a pretty simple design. I kept my cake white and I used like a light pool cardstock for the icing. But you could get really creative with this to change it up for wedding or to make it more personalized for whoever you're giving the card to. One of the things I really like about Pretty Pink Posh dies is they often have faux stitching detail. So even simple die cuts look a little more elaborate because of that faux stitching, and it doesn't take any more time to achieve. So once this cake is done, although it wasn't much die cutting, it'll have a lot of interest to it. By the way, for those cake elements, it'd be fun to use a pattern paper or even do stamping. Next up, I'll create the background there. You can see that light pool colored background has that faux pierced star pattern from that background die I showed you earlier. Now, I cut it twice from that pool cardstock, but notice that it cuts a panel that's 4¼ by 5½ inches. But my card, I want to be 5 by 7. So what I'm doing is gluing two of those background die cuts together. So one 4¼ by 5½ towards the bottom, and then the other towards the top. That white cardstock piece is actually a little smaller than 5 by 7, so it's about 4¾ by 6¾ inches. I'm making sure that the seams of the two pieces meet together there in the middle. I don't think anybody will notice those seams, but I can also cover them with elements. And that way I get that faux star pattern, pierced star pattern, over the entire larger background using a smaller background die. So I'm trimming off the excess here, and there we have our larger panel. You can kind of see that seam in the middle, but once I add everything, I don't think anyone will notice it. Next, I needed to create the little candles to go on the top of my cake. I had shown you earlier smaller candle dies come with the interactive cake die set, but I wanted to use the bigger candle dies that come in the candle die set. So I am creating those separately. I did cut apart the flames so that I could add a little bit of an orange die cut at the center of the yellow, have white for the wick, and then a darker pool color for the candles themselves. Since the candles will be sticking off the top, I did glue two together so they'd be a bit sturdier and a little bit stronger. And I created 5 die cuts. Now I kept my candles all that pool color, but you could do multicolored candles because the die set does include little layering elements. Now that we have all of our little pieces ready, we can go ahead and assemble the card. So I'm going to put that top tier so it's sticking out the bottom tier of the cake. And I want to put double-sided adhesive along the right and the left on the bottom tier and along the bottom itself. I'm using Trinity Stamps foam strips. These are very narrow, so they're great for tight spaces like this. Now, I wanted to have the top tier come out very easily, kind of be loose in there so the recipient sees it. So I am doubling up my foam strips. You absolutely do not need to do this. You could do one layer if you prefer, but it's easy enough to do, and I plan to hand this to my Pilates instructor for her birthday, so I don't mind having that extra dimension. So once again, I'm putting 2 layers of foam tape on the right, the left, and bottom of this bigger bottom tier of the cake. Now onto the top tier of the cake, we can add our candles. I'm using some strong Gina Connect liquid adhesive. And when I glued it on there at first and just tested it out on the front of my card, I realized the candle's too tall. So I'm going to give each of my candles a little haircut on the bottom, just so that it fits better on the front of this 5 by 7 card. I could have again used the smaller candles, but I really like the look of these. So now I'll glue each of these on to the top of our cake. And I am doing so by doing the leftmost candle, the rightmost candle, and then the center candle, and then putting the other 2 in between. That makes getting the spacing much easier. Once I have them all positioned how I want them, I'll go ahead and put something heavy on it while it dries. Before I move forward, I do want to make sure everything is sized right to fit on the front of the card, and it's looking good so far. Now we need our sentiment on that bottom tier of the cake. I used an older Pretty Pink Posh die that I use a lot for different occasions. This is the Script Celebrate. I die cut it once from white cardstock, once from black glossy cardstock, and glued it together for some dimension. Underneath it, I'll add a sentiment strip that I stamped using this Sentiment Strips birthday stamp set. I really like some of the unique birthday greetings in here. And on this card, I'll use Sending Birthday Cheer, and I'll use some of the other sentiments later on in this video. So I'll glue that onto the front of the cake along with 2 star die cuts. All right, now we can add the pull tab feature to the top of the cake. You'll see it sticking out there above the candles. Kind of hard to see in the photo, but this just lets the recipient know that it is an interactive card. You could skip this and write a message on the inside if you prefer. But I really like this die that comes with this set because it's a little tab shape and it has the word pull done in little piercing dots, so it's very subtle but visible. Now I wanted my tab to be longer, so I'm doing a little partial die cutting. Only the part of the die that's under the plate will cut, and that little bit hanging out will not cut. So that's the bottom of the die there. And by only cutting the top, I can go ahead and use my scissors or trimmer to make this tab much longer. I'm actually going to keep this little pull tab die separate from the die set so I can use it with a lot of different interactive cards. I have a magnetic sheet glued into my cabinet door where I keep my most used dies, and this pull tab will definitely go there. Okay, so now we can start putting these pieces together. We're in the home stretch here. I'm going to put glue on the bottom of this pull tab and have it so it's just sticking out a little bit from the candles. We can now add our cake elements to our card panel. So I'll remove the release paper from all of the foam tape on the bottom cake, and then I'll hold the two cake elements together so that I can center it up between the top and the bottom of our card panel. And then I'll press that down. Now remember, nothing on that top tier will be adhered to our card panel. We want that to be loose so that it can slide in and out of the bottom cake tier pocket that we created. As a little afterthought, I thought it'd be good to stamp a sentiment onto the top tier so that when you pull it out, you see that sentiment. So I'm stamping "Enjoy Your Day" with black ink. I'm using my MISTI stamping tool along with the Waffle flower grip mat to kind of hold it in place as I do the stamping. I probably should have stamped this before doing the piercing plate that we did earlier, but I didn't think of it, but it turned out to stamp just fine on top of the piercing. So now I can slide this in, and I also have other little stars that I can glue onto the background just to add a little more of that yellow and orange color. And finally, I glued the panel onto a 5x7 white note card, and I have a blue 5x7 envelope. I'll link below to my sources for 5x7 envelopes. I really like this size. You can pull the top tier of the cake out and see the gift card inside, but you could always skip the gift card and just write a personal message there if you prefer. And here's a closer look at all the detail. I told you earlier that Pretty Pink Posh does a great job putting such detail on their die cuts, and here you can see all of it on this completed card. I did add some holographic star die cuts just for a little bit of sparkle, but you could also use gems for that sparkle too. And there's a closer look at that pull tab on the top that really lets the recipient know that this is an interactive card. Okay, next up, I have another interactive cake card, but this one's simpler and a more traditional 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card size. This really didn't take too long to pull together and is a great way to make a special card for someone. So I die cut both of the cake pieces from pool cardstock, and on both of them, I'm trimming off the scallop edge on the top. I just wanted to change up the design. I will again add the icing elements, very similar to what I did on the last card, but this time I'm using some of the faux stitched heart die cuts along this little scallop icing. I just think it's fun to change up the elements to change up the look on the cake. By the way, that's a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch white note card, and on the front of it I used navy cardstock along with that star piercing die, and that navy piece is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. Now this time I'm using the smaller candles that come with the interactive cake die set, and I die cut them from white cardstock, and then I just used Copic markers to color the flames a bit to make them yellow and orange. That's just a faster way to deal with those tiny little elements but add the pop of color. Once again, I'm putting foam tape along the 3 sides of the bottom tier of the cake, leaving the top edge open. But this time I'm going to add 2 little foam squares over towards the bottom left and the bottom right. You can see I'm putting one right there, and then I'm putting one over on the right. This will be a stopper for the top of our cake tier, but our gift card will be able to slide between them. So you'll see here in a moment, this just makes it so the top tier of my cake sticks out a little bit farther, but the gift card slides back down further. So you can see that gift card slides between, but the top tier of the cake stops at those 2 little stoppers I added in. All right, so now we can glue the bottom of our cake onto the bottom of our card, and this will create just a little pocket where we can slide in our gift card and the top tier of the cake. So you can see this was easier to put together than the last card, but really has that fun interactive feel. Now I'm gluing my little candles to the top edge of the cake. And since the bottom of these candles is so small, I'm putting a piece of Scotch tape, actually 2 pieces of Scotch tape over the ends, just to make sure they really stay put. All right, now I finished the card off by adding the white Celebrate die cut and a stamped sentiment strip below that. And that's it for this card. You could add some little gems or sparkle, but I thought I'd keep it simple. Now, in the inside of the card, I will write to the person, be sure to pull the candles out to see a special gift inside. But if you prefer, you could do a little tab sticking out like I did on the last card. But honestly, the top tier moves a little bit when you take it out of the envelope, so I think the recipient will notice. Here's a closer look at all of that faux stitching and pierced detail. Now that we've done 2 birthday cake cards, let's do a shaker card. And I'm going to use a background cover plate die that makes creating these multi-window shaker cards super easy. And I know Pretty Pink Posh has a few like this. Now this is the pierced stars plate die. I showed it to you earlier. I used it for accents on my last card, but this time I'll make a shaker card out of it. I die cut that background die from 3 pieces of white cardstock and 1 piece of navy cardstock to start out. And I'm gluing those together to get some stacked dimension. You could use 1 die cut and use foam tape around all of those star openings, but this definitely is easier to do and it will hold up really nicely in the mail. So I'm gluing 3 white die cuts with the navy on top. By the way, you could do just 4 white die cuts. I didn't think of it at the time, but just bear with me. Okay, so this forms the walls of our little shaker windows. So we'll have 6 star shaker windows. Once they're all glued together, I'll put something heavy on it while it dries. Now let's create our note card. I have a white note card that is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and onto it I'm adding another white background die cut. This will give me a little map to position each of my colorful stars that will show through our shaker windows. I just die cut these from scraps that I had left over from last card and some other cards I've made in the past. Using little die cuts like this is a great way to use up those scraps. I also like that these stars have a lot of detail, so I don't need to do anything to them. I don't have to add any stamping or use pattern paper. I just use the die cuts with the detail they have. Now I have another navy background die cut, and on the back of it I'm putting strong adhesive, and then I'll lay a piece of acetate. Now this acetate is from recycled packaging. Anything clear here would work. Even thin clear plastic would work fine. So check your recycling or trash. I bet there's something you could use. I'll place that onto the back of our navy die cut and put something heavy on it while it dries. While that dries, I'll put adhesive over on the white area on our note card, making sure not to get any glue on the stars themselves, but just around it. Then I'll take my stacked die cuts that we created at the beginning and place that on top. And this will form the back and the walls of our little shaker window. Now back to the front panel here that has the acetate. I'll trim off the excess acetates that's sticking out the side. And now we can fill our shaker windows. Now you can put anything in here. I am just using some little clear kind of iridescent-y sequins, but really you can put anything in here you want. If you have thicker things like gemstones, you may want to build up more layers so that the window wells that you've created are a bit deeper. But what I did today works perfect for sequins. And you don't want to put too many in because you do want to see the detail on those star die cuts. Now we'll put strong adhesive once again all around those stars, and then we can place the front panel with the acetate right on top, and then put something heavy on it while it dries, and we will have our little shaker windows all sealed off. So here's the completed card. I added the Celebrate die cut again and a birthday sentiment strip underneath it. You could add some sequins to the front of the card, but I feel like this card has enough going on thanks to the detail of the faux stitching and the piercing that those dies create and the little shaker elements. If you don't have a background die like this that has different openings like these stars, you could create your own by cutting a card panel and die cutting several individual stars to create a similar look. Before we go, I wanted to show you some of the other products that are in this release from Pretty Pink Posh because there's a lot of great birthday products that can be used together. I always enjoy looking at collections like this, and I thought you might like to see it too. Now, this birthday treat die set is really fun because of this large die. It creates this little container that stands up on its own and is fun to put a little gift in, or you could put a gift card, maybe with a little tissue paper, just something really unique and different, and I don't have anything like this in my stash. I think this will be great for creating Valentine's favors for our teachers. I think it'd also be good for creating a little like Easter basket looking thing. You could put some pipe cleaner, like a pipe cleaner handle at the top. There are dies in there that you can decorate it with, or you can use some of the other dies I used today. I also really like this party hat die set that's new from Pretty Pink Posh. Look at all the different party hats you can layer together and create. I think a few of those would be fun on the front of this little treat box. You could also decorate it with a cupcake die set. This is another set from this collection, and I wanted to show you it because of all the cute elements. I like the celebrate letters that you can use on the banner for reverse die cut, but also I used the star in this on my first birthday cake card, so I would have a smaller star size. And then finally, I wanted to share this cupcake shaker die. So this die set is so you can make a shaker window that is shaped like a cake. And Pretty Pink Posh has a lot like this that are really great for creating quick shaker cards. Now, I didn't use it today, but I do have a video that I'll link to in my description below and at the top right here that shows you how to use a similar die to make a shaker card window. They're really easy to figure out and so much fun to create. Okay, so if you're interested in all the supplies I used, I have them linked below in my YouTube description. You can go to my blog to see photos and find much more information, along with some free gifts that you can get right now with Pretty Pink Posh. At the end here, I'll link to a couple other related videos, including some more birthday card ideas. I thank you for spending this time with me. Have a great day, and I'll be back soon with another video. Have a good one.